talk about the Valentine's Day Massacre pay-per-view. It goes down on February 14th from Memphis, Tennessee. That's where we're going to see Rock and Mankind wrestle in a last man standing match. And that ends in a no contest draw when neither man can answer a 10 count. Of course, the next night on Raw, Rock would win the title back in a ladder match with the help of the brand new WWF signee, Mr. Paul White. Looking back, why do you think we didn't do the title switch at the pay-per-view and instead opted to do it on TV? Is that a Nitro counter programming thing, you think?
I just think it was the fact that more people had access to the regular television broadcast than they did on pay-per-view. The audience shrunk on pay-per-view. It always does. It's just fact. Some people can't afford to buy pay-per-view for whatever reason, like economy, buying groceries, stuff like that. Life. So anyway, it was just it got that product and that title and that change to the biggest audience that we could muster, and that was on free television. That's why we did it.
The story has always been that this WrestleMania in 1999 was supposed to be a 3-way dance with The Rock, Stone Cold, and Mankind. And allegedly it's Shawn Michaels who campaigns to get that changed. He felt like the WrestleMania main event should be mano a mano, not a 3-way dance.
I'm raising my hand. I agree with Shawn. And in that era, sometimes agreeing with Shawn was not healthy. He was a classic. So never a dull moment with Shawn Michaels around. There's no doubt about it. And because he always had that one thing to revert back to, the fact at that time he was considered by many as the best worker in wrestling. So why not give him the benefit of the doubt? So I agree with that. I'm not big on all those multi-people main events at WrestleMania. It just doesn't work for me. I like the one-on-one thing, and it's easier to build a story around 2 people than 4. The matches are have more continuity. So I agree with Shawn on that deal. His instincts are right on that one, in my opinion.
I got to ask you, that's sort of going to bring the end, at least for a little while, between The Rock and Mankind story. Did you have a preference of those matches? Like, did you like the draw with the last man standing at the pay-per-view? Did you like, the taped one where Foley won, or halftime heat, or the Rumble, or there's so many big matches along the way. Is there one that stands out more than any other to you?
The one that stands out more than anything is the one that I would never do again. And that's all those chair shots.
Yeah. The Rumble one. Yeah.
The Rumble one was, a little drastic to me, because it's just hard you can't not protect somebody with those chair shots to the head. And, guys started getting their hands up and started trying to turn their head a little bit, whatever it may be. But boy, it was hard to watch. It's hard to fathom. And knowing what we know now, Connie, on concussion protocol and things of that nature, just no way in hell it could happen like that ever again.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Something else that might not ever happen again happened on the Go Home Raw before WrestleMania. We would have a huge segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Vince, and Shane McMahon. This is the now infamous beer bath episode. I mean, Stone Cold showing up in a beer truck and just spraying beer all in the ring. I mean, that is something that wrestling fans will never forget. I mean, it has never happened before because it just seems outrageous and over the top. What do you remember when you first heard this idea? I mean, this had to be like, wait, we're going to do what now?
I knew that I had to bring a change of clothes.
Right.
Because I was going to get some friendly fire, liquid wise, from the beer truck. I thought it was a hell of an idea. It worked, fit Austin's character, being disruptive and nonconformist and all that good stuff. And of course, the beer was the common denominator tying Austin to all the other stuff that we were seeing. It was a good segment. I thought it was good. And the nice thing about it for me was I'd never seen anything quite like that.
Right.
So it meant that we were supplying something new for our audience. I can't tell you how they were responding at home, obviously, because I wasn't there. I was at ringside, but I can tell you that the people at ringside in that arena in general were very much entertained and having a blast. So other than a little beer on my suit, and I brought a change of clothes, just looking ahead, everything was cool.
I never asked. I just always assumed when I saw the hose that that wasn't actually beer, that was going to be some sort of water or something, because you wouldn't want to spray beer with maybe kids in the crowd or whatever. And I just thought, wait a minute, those trucks usually have kegs and cases. How would there be a hose? But you just said there was beer. Was that beer that was being shot on your clothes?
I thought it was, Conrad. It's been a long time since I lived that moment.
Sure.
But I thought it seemed to me in hindsight now that there was some beer in it.
Okay.
But I wouldn't want to go to put my hand to. I wouldn't want to sit in the jury box or
Yeah.
on the
On the stand.
the stand. But it was just so unique, man. It was just so unique. It fit everybody's expertise and their personas in a really unique and exciting way, quite frankly. Nobody's going to get hurt taking bumps in the ring because it was slippery because of the quote unquote beer or whatever. Uh, and I don't want people to think, well, it was beer. I don't know that it was beer, but I know that it was liquid, and I know that Austin had a hard time aiming that hose to distribute that liquid. And what didn't go with my suit or Lawler's, that was funny about Lawler. He when Rock left, he left all of his shirts in the wardrobe case, and those soon were inherited by the King, and he wore them on TV just like Rock would. So he's thrifty. So getting free attire, shall we say, was nothing. That's the King. That was the King. He knows what it's like to be poor. He's not poor anymore, but he knows what it's like to be poor, and he was going to take advantage of the opportunity to get these. Hell, these shirts are like $200 a piece or something.
Right.
Rock wasn't going to go to Ross Dress for Less
No.
and get him a shirt. He was going to get the good stuff, and so the good stuff happened to fit Lawler, maybe a little big, but Lawler got free shirts out of it, and they were, like I said, they weren't cheap. They were big time items, big time apparel.